another episode of the SportsRap podcast. And bad boys are going. Your boy is here. SportsRap D in the building. And I'm back, folks. I'm a little off center here a little bit. Let me make sure I get my thing straight here. But I'm back, as you can see. I'm going to turn that just a little bit so you can see me. Yes, I'm here. Facebook, SportsRap Podcast, LLC is the group page. You all know that. You already know where to be. So, listen, I'm here. And like I said, I was gone for a couple weeks. I was out of the office. Did a little vacation. Took a little time away. Cleared my head. Get some things organized. As I told you that I have been preparing some new things for the show, and I'll talk a little bit about that throughout the day today. So listen, we got some stuff to get to, and I know because I was out, I am pretty much behind everyone else with the Kyrie Irving issues and situation, or whatever you want to call it, however you want to address it. But I will definitely get to some of that. I have been posting some things about it, some news and some updates, trying to keep you up as I do, even though I was not here live with you on a couple Mondays. My guy, Chuck EA, thanks for tuning in, homie, good brother. Good morning to you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that Kyrie situation. James Murphy, another friend of mine, good friend of mine. Thank you also for tuning in right now. But it is one of those things where, like I said, I'm behind everyone else, and I'm sure people can debatably say it's beginning to subside a little bit, but there's still a lot of stuff going on with that situation. But again, like I said, I'm sure I'll have time, so I'll get to that and how I feel about the situation and how things played out. Give you a little backtrack and a little history of it, and bring you up to speed on where I am with that situation. Also, we're going to talk some Eagles. We got Monday Night Football. You see me representing. You can see the T-shirt. I'm going to lift up for you there. Let me tuck my strings in here. Tuck my strings in so the strings are out of the way. Get them out the way. The only undefeated team left in the NFL, the Eagles. And I got my hat on. I'm repping my squad today. Eagles Monday. We'll definitely talk some Eagles football. And got some other stuff sprinkled in between. We actually, believe it or not, folks, we got some good Sixers news we could talk about too. So let's get to it. You know how we do. News and updates. We roll right into our scores. And, since it's football season, the last set of scores I'll be giving you will be the NFL scores from yesterday and going back to Thursday on Week 10. And we talked a few little bit about some tidbits about some games that we select. And then we get into some of our other topics that we bring into the show. So, let's get to it. In the news and updates, Pereira stuns Adesanya by TKO to claim the UFC title over the weekend. Just something that a lot of people didn't really know about. But, it's one of those things. It's kind of hard to actually keep track on the UFC because it's always like they're up to like UFC 5,000, and when you see 5,000, then it's like you look and you're looking at it's 5,001, and then right after that it's 5,002. It's like, wait a minute, it's just moving too fast. So kind of hard to keep up with the UFC a little bit, but nonetheless, that's what happened in the UFC over the weekend. OBJ is hoping to sign with the team real soon. All right, good luck with that. It may happen. I would love to see him back in the league, but I hope he goes about his decision in some ways for the love of the game. I understand there's going to be some money involved because that's the way the state of these young athletes and these professional athletes. Now, hey, Cuzzo, thanks for tuning in. Tawanda Bowman is tuned in as well. Good for you there, Mr. Murphy. But I hope, his heart is in the right place. Like I said, I know there's going to be an issue with the money. It's always about the money, like I said, at that level and that. But I hope he goes to a situation where he can begin to re-enjoy the game of football again. The NFL Players Association is calling a press conference for changes to the football fields amid injury concerns. So there's been quite a few injuries in the past couple weeks, and a lot of it has been directed to the conditions of the stadiums that still have AstroTurf fields. The NFLPA and a lot of players around the league are now beginning to believe, and they have for a while, I think, wanting to get everyone to convert over to natural grass field. Actually, in reality, you think about it, these guys have played football for an extended period of time. Let's go going back to Pee Wee League, Pop Warner football, whatever it was there when wherever they were from, whatever it was called there, whatever, Pee Wee football, whatever. But that was always played on grass. Didn't get till you got to the high tech, maybe some high tech high school, or maybe the college, and then you got to the pros when you had the high tech and all the big money behind it, and you started playing on turf. But a lot of people are feeling like the turf is being the cause of some of these other injuries, and it's just funny. You say, "Well, the injuries." You said, "Yeah, football is full of injuries," but if you've never played and if you don't understand, the type of injuries that you get from the AstroTurf are those types of injuries. Heidi, thanks for tuning in, homie. Those types of injuries are the injuries that are what we call the nagging injuries. Like they just linger on. And those types of injuries are types of injuries that pop up at any given time, any given moment. You could have turf toe, and you sit out a week or two, and then you feel like you're good. You come back. And then you come back and you're having a good game or a solid game. And then at some point, somewhere down the line, bang, something happens on turf again. You re-aggravate that injury. So they're looking into trying to get all of the fields in the NFL to be natural grass, which I think will be a great thing. And I think it would be better for the players as well. Errol Spence has been ordered to defend his WBC title up against Keith Thurman. Something that we've all probably been waiting to see for a long time. Terrence Crawford is set to fight David Avanesyan, or I can't pronounce his name, Avanesyan, and let me see. He's defending his WBO title. That title again is on December the 10th. Sorry for I was looking at something else that caught my attention real quick. The Astros have parted ways with their World Series winning GM, James Click, after he rejected a 1-year offer to remain with the team. Nike, as we know, has cut ties with Kyrie Irving. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in all of my stuff. Let's see. Chuck says the equipment is so small and they don't even wear knee pads anymore. They could also contribute to some of those injuries. Yeah, Chuck, that's true. I've been noticed that how guys are like they're just playing in the football pants, or they streamlined them where they have something in there resembling a football pad, but it's not even really a pad. Like I know, Chuck, you remember. And I'm pretty sure this is somewhat where you were going at when you got this. Like when we talked about the Earl Campbell, the thigh pads that Earl Campbell used to wear, that looked like he had 4 pair of like 4 thigh pads on each thigh. The old thick thigh pads that we used to wear that you had to tuck into the pockets on the pants. So, but yeah, Chuck, that could be it too. Streamline the way they don't wear pads and stuff like that too. That could be another part of some of these injuries, yes, as well. Like I said, Temple. Congratulations to Temple University men's basketball. Shout outs to the cherry and the white. TU, baby. Defeating Villanova for the first time since 2012, so good for them. Shout out to my guy, Monte Ross, assistant coach on that squad. And, it's just a beautiful thing. Big win for them at home, nonetheless, on Broad Street in the Liacouras Center. So that was Temple upsetting Villanova for the first time since 2012. It also reports out that police are seeking an ex-University of Virginia football player in campus killings. Also announced over the weekend, There are some nominees for the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. Some of those names are Minnesota Lynx championship teammates Lindsey Whalen and Taj McWilliams Franklin, two-time title-winning coach Brian Agler, ESPN analyst Carol Peck, the first black head coach to win the NCAA Women's Basketball Tournament, are amongst those 12 finalists. The finalist inductees will be announced during the halftime of ABC's broadcast of the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament Women's Championship at 1 p.m. on November 27th. The induction ceremony will be April 29th at the Hall in Knoxville, Tennessee. In NBA action on Sunday, we have the Thunder get by the Knicks 145-135. The Timberwolves outlast the Cavs 129-124. Wizards get by the Grizzlies 102-92. The Sixers get by the Jazz in South Philly 105-98 with the magnificent second performance from Joel Embiid, second in a row. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second. The Nuggets get by the Bulls 126-103. Warriors fall to the Kings 122-115. And the Lakers outlast the Nets 116-103. In the NHL, Flyers fall to the Stars 5-1. The Bruins at home get by the Canucks 5-2. The Sharks outlast the Wild 3-2. Coyotes fall to the Rangers 4-1. The Lightning get by or double up on the Capitals 6-3. And the Jets get by the Kraken 3-2. Lowell Rich, thanks for tuning in, good brother. So while we here, let's talk a little bit about some Sixers, since I just gave you some Flyers, the NHL scores, and I should have did it the other way around to lead into this, but nonetheless, we're here. So let's talk a little Sixers for a moment, because like we know, it is Eagles Monday, so a big portion later on is going to be Eagles leading up to tonight's game, Monday Night Football, and I'll give you those scores in just a second, but just got to get here for right now. Joel Embiid. Let me backtrack for just a second. We've all been up and down. Chuck said Embiid heard them trade rumors and started balling. I don't know what happened, but it needs to keep happening because I liked what I saw in the last two games. So for the last several weeks, pretty much since like game 2, it's been all the chatter. The Doc needs to be fired, and this and that, and whatever. And I've been listening and reading, and I've been tuned into a lot of it. And in the situation, I want to make it clear, first and foremost, that I understand where everyone is going. Let me make sure I'm looking directly into my camera. I understand where everyone is going. I understand the fight that everyone has in that whole entire situation, right? But hear me out. Play with me. Roll with me just a little bit here, right? I was talking to another person, and we talked about the situation. And I'm like, it's only a few games in. I got to give them a few more games, yada, 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 where I stand. And I'm going to stand by what I said. I'm not jumping shit or whatever. And also, on the other hand, I'm not taking anybody off the hook. There's enough that can be said about the situation from beginning to where they are now. And it's enough to spread around. You can go players, you can go coaching staff, you can go all the way across the board. So don't get me wrong there. Like I said, I'm a diehard Sixers fan, but I'll tell you when they stink, I'll tell you when they good, and I'll tell you when I see some things that's going on that I don't like, that are not looking too good, which is where I am right now. So I'm accepting and I'm liking the last two games from Joel Embiid. I'm liking the two huge wins over Western Conference leading teams, which is the Phoenix Suns, and then last night over the Utah Jazz. All right? But I am also beginning to see how SportsRap D, how I could envision this thing coming together with the roster that's built. And mind you, people, I spoke to someone in another group that I'm in on social media, and people have been talking about how the play of Charles Bassey with the Spurs and of Isaiah Joe has increased, and it showed, why the Sixers get rid of them, whatever. And what I said to the gentleman that I spoke to, and I explained it to him, and I said, we oftentimes forget as fans when certain moves are made that at that particular level, there still is a business involved. So for everyone, and I get it, I understand it, and Sixers fans will a lot more times than not say, look at it, we got rid of a guy and look at how he's flourishing. Didn't play him here, the coach didn't play him here, whatever, didn't get a chance here, but now look at him, he's flourishing. It happens. Sixers aren't the only team that it happens to, folks, and I understand. But I understand the fandom. I understand that fight, okay? I do. I totally get that fight. But what you also have to understand is one of the reasons why I'm glad I do what I do here on Mondays, and I always try to bring everybody that's tuned in that may not know or may not truly understand the other side. Or they may just not want to hear it, but I'm going to give it anyway because I have some people that want to hear it. And I feel like it helps some of my listeners and my followers understand things better. And again, this is why I do what I do, because this little bit of inside stuff that I give you is definitely not going to be given to you in the mainstream. So we can talk about that at another day. But anyway, the move to move Isaiah Joe and Charles Bassey opened up a roster spot for the Sixers. It also gave them some salary cap room, some wiggle room, if you will, when the trade deadline comes up, or when trades begin to start, rumors and everything, trade talks begin. So that gives them that space and the opportunity. I saw some names earlier, and I forgot to jot them down of the names that they were looking at. But a couple of the names that were in there, my guy Rich, thanks for tuning in as always. A couple of the names I did see in there, I saw Lou Williams again, I saw Rajon Rondo. There's another name. Now, those two names are pretty much things that a lot of people have been saying that the Sixers should have had some interest in picking up a free agent when they did. People are right now on the fence, if you will, with the PJ Tucker signing. But let's talk in reality for a second, people. If you understand basketball, I've seen some stuff, and I said people like PJ only gave us 2 points, only giving us 3 points, and whatever. Fine. And I understand it's very early in the season. You want to see the immediate progress. But again, I say to you folks, in training camp, it's good. You can look at things and see things in training camp that are fine and well. But you also have to remember that second unit that they're playing against, or that you're playing against in training camp, is on your team. Those are your teammates. So they know the exact play that you're running. So it's going to be more difficult to see the true essence of it in practice. You don't see that until you get under live bullets. And you brought in new moving parts that still have to fit in with how they want to design things. It's still a job. And again, I'm not blaming, but I'm saying, again, there's room to discuss and debate all the way across the board. I'm just here right now. So you got these moving parts to come in, and people are all like, oh, well, PJ, whatever. He's old and this. Give it. People are probably going to cringe when I say this. Give it a little bit more time. It's an 82-game season. You got Harden out for a month. And then I said to someone, oh, he's out, he hurt, whatever. And one of the things I said initially was, not that I wish any injury on anyone, But would you rather have this injury now, or would you rather have this injury in May when you're trying to make a playoff push? Chuck says, I like the way Maxey is coming into his zone, but it's hard for young players to develop their game while playing alongside James Harden. Yeah, I agree. I think with Chuck, with that, the way I look at that situation, thanks for bringing that up, Chuck, too. The way I look at that situation is I agree with a lot of people when I felt like the Sixers should have brought in a backup point guard. Yeah, okay, Murph. But you can stay tuned in, though. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. I feel like, yes, they should have been interested in looking for a backup point guard in that situation. Shake Milton, for me, is just not there yet. I still think he's a combo guard. I don't think he's a legit point guard. And when I say combo guard, I say that he can handle the ball, but not your backup floor general. So that is the reason why I saw those names like the Rondo and the Lou Williams, guys that can run teams. And what I think the situation did with Maxey and Harden is you start Maxey, but you put the ball in James's hands. Okay, but now you're asking Maxey to do double duty. Now he's the scorer, so to speak, scoring guard, so to speak, on the starting unit. But when you put him with that second unit, now he's got to facilitate. And in my opinion, that kind of takes away from what Maxey does really, really good. So you got to find somebody to fill in that spot. And I think that's what they might be looking at come trade opportunities, trade talks, reasoning why that move again was made to move Charles Bassey, Isaiah Joe. They freed up their roster spot and they freed up some salary cap room so they can make a trade and figure it out. While we're talking trades, and I've seen all the posts, and I'm surprised none of my people that have tuned in have actually said anything. The most recent chatter is Sixers possibly interested in Kevin Durant. First thing I saw a picture and I saw Maxey on the move. Me personally, I don't really like it for a couple of reasons. I like what Maxey does for this team. I also like the fact that on the business side, the price tag will be less than it will be for Kevin Durant, and you can get more years right now, just where they are in their careers out of Maxey. That's just my opinion. I'm sure if Baldy was here, Baldy would say, let's do it, move it, whatever. And I totally get that. It's part of the reason why we get along so well. It's part of the reason why our show is what it is when he's here. And we can agree to disagree in the proper kind of way. But again, for me, I don't like it for the reasons I just stated to you. But on the business side of it, business and basketball side of it, I can get behind on a bit. I'm not gonna say I can get behind on the business and basketball side of it. I understand it, but again, like I don't think I wouldn't do it. But on the business side and basketball side, I see kind of the thought process. Richard says, nope. I'm not trading Maxey at this age, and will be a star for years to come. And Durant is injury prone and much older and a higher price. Yeah, Rich, that's exactly what I just said. The way I wouldn't do it. Because even though you're going to be up to re-up Maxey, it's still going to be cheaper than what you would have to do. Say you won, and Kevin Durant wants to come back and run it back and try and win again, and you got to re-up him. Significant change in price or difference in price, and the age. You can have Maxey longer than you can have Kevin Durant. So for that, I'm going to keep my eye on it, see what pops up or whatever. But for me, it's not something that I like, not something that I would do personally. So getting back to Mr. Embiid, he was out for a few games. He was sick, and people had begun to talk about how he looked uninterested, unenthused about playing. Looks like he was kind of going through the motions. There looked like there could have possibly been some frustration there. If all of that I just said was not all me, okay? Some of it I agreed with, but it was just what was going on in and around the chatter around the Philadelphia 76ers over the last week or so, maybe a little bit longer. But then we come to the back and back against the Hawks. Sixers go down there, and they looked like they forgot how to play defense, and at some moments they looked like they forgot how to play basketball in general. It was not pretty. Surprisingly, and I kind of felt like it would happen, they come home on the back end of that back-to-back, and they kind of beat up on the Hawks at home. I expected that. I expected them to win. I didn't expect them to beat up. The score may give you a little bit of a different perception, but if you watch that game, the second game against the Hawks, you saw how they came into their own a little bit and beat up the Hawks. So in that game, Joel Embiid scores 42 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists on 14 to 25 shooting. These numbers here are the numbers that I really don't like much, and I'm not even going to say them now. I'm just going to go through what I'm going through, and then I'll talk about these numbers. And right here, Richard says, Embiid shows when he wants to play down low and inside the free throw line, he is dominant. No one can stop him. The concerning thing is this team doesn't rebound well at all. I mean, Utah had 10 offensive boards. Absolutely. Agree with that, Rich. We're old school guys, and these guys make too much money to be inspired to play. The love of the game is no longer there. They play for pay. Absolutely, Chuck. They definitely are about the dollars more so than the love of the game. And yeah, Rich, exactly what you said as well. But again, going back to that Hawks game, let's say again, 42 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists on 14 to 25 from the floor, 13 to 16 from the free throw line. In that game against the Hawks, he played 40 minutes, ended up with 2 blocks and 4 turnovers. Then you turn around on yesterday against the Jazz. An amazing, very arguably the performance of his career. Okay, and I know he's had some very good ones. We've seen them. But this one, arguably the best career, this is like a career moment for him. It's a career making moment. 59 points, 11 rebounds, 8 assists. 19 to 28 from the floor, 20 to 24 from the free throw line. Also in that game, played 4 less minutes, 36 minutes with 7 blocks and 5 turnovers. So, again, like I said, arguably, debatably, the defining game of his career so far. The numbers that stand out to me the most, people may say, wow, those numbers stand out to you the most, and he had, it's just me and my stuff, and I am a basketball junkie, so numbers that kind of stand out to me a little bit are these 3-point shots. On Saturday against the Hawks, he shot 1 for 6, and then yesterday he shoots 1 for 5. Turnovers, 5 yesterday, 4 against the Hawks on Saturday. So those numbers stand out to me, especially those 3-point shots, because I think that's too many attempts for him. The 6 and the 5. It's too many attempts for him. When more times than not, when he does the things that he did yesterday, he's going to get the 3-point play, the traditional 3-point play. And he shoots free throws well. Like I said, he missed 7 free throws that whole time in both of those games, and he shot 10. He shot 40. Shot 40 free throws in 2 games, and he missed 7. So I can live with that. He missed free throws. He missed 7 free throws, but he shot 40 between the 2 games. Okay, so a lot of times he'll get the conventional 3-point play, which it's still 3 points. as opposed to you standing at the 3-point line shooting a 3-pointer. I still don't know how he got 5 attempts in yesterday. I'm going to have to go back and see the highlights and watch that game over and see. But a lot of things I saw from him yesterday where the Sixers have this idea that they'll run offense through him at the foul line or at the elbow where they believe it's hard to double team. In my opinion, it depends on what team you're playing and how that team plays defense, because it didn't work against Boston because Boston plays hella defense. Seasons past, when he shoots 3 or less 3-pointers, the Sixers are like 85% win rate. It drops down below 50% when he shoots 5 or more. Absolutely, Rich. This is why I said that's a number for me that stands out. And like I said, although I applaud the 42 and 10, the 59-11 with 6 and 8 assists, I definitely like that. I like that a lot. But those numbers there just stand out to me. He needs to shoot less. But one of the things I was impressed with yesterday, where he was asking for the ball, he was determined to be dominant yesterday. He stayed within the mid-range for the most part, where at most he was shooting a step or two above the free throw line, not all the way out to 3-point. Like I said, he still shot 5 threes, but he did the majority of his damage free throw line in. And I was thoroughly impressed. This is what I want to see from him a lot more often. And like I said, with his determination yesterday, he's being a leader yesterday. I'm not going to say he does it a lot, but yesterday he was being a leader, telling people where to go, and then demanding the ball and doing something with it. Not being indecisive or being passive about making moves. He was determined and somewhat quicker and more precise with the moves that he made yesterday, which I really enjoyed. So I hope that can keep on going. Like I said, arguably, debatably, defining a career-making game for him yesterday. And, we'll see what happens if it can continue, and I hope it can continue. Richard says 12 feet and in is where he was doing work against Utah, demanding the ball down low. Absolutely. And if he stays like that, then, we got a lot to look forward to, a lot of better things to look forward to. And then you can show people, and you don't have to worry about talk about the MVP. You can just go out and play. And if you play like that, the way you played in these last 2 games, and just let your game show, and you do that, you'll be fine. All right? Moving on to some NFL scores for you. Week 10, as you know, we'll wrap up tonight. Going back to Thursday, that kicked off Week 10, November the 10th. Atlanta and Carolina. Carolina took that game 25-15. Moving into yesterday's games, we had another early game for us, game at 9:30. I'm in Germany. Tampa Bay gets back on the winning track. They take that game 21-16 over the Seattle Seahawks. Minnesota gets by Buffalo in overtime 33-30. Detroit outlasts Chicago 31-30. Denver falls to Tennessee 17-10. Kansas City gets by Jacksonville at home 27-17. Miami puts something on Cleveland 39-17. The New York Giants continue their winning ways. They outlast the Houston Texans 24-16. Pittsburgh gets back into the win column. They beat New Orleans 20-10. Indianapolis gets by Las Vegas 25-20. First win as interim coach, or first win for interim coach in his first game, Jeff Saturday, for the Indianapolis Colts. Dallas falls to Green Bay in overtime 31-28. Arizona gets by the Rams 27-17. And in the nightcap, San Francisco at home beats the Chargers 22-16. So Green Bay helps out the Eagles in beating Dallas 31-28 in overtime yesterday afternoon. And again, things that I say about the Cowboys all the time. Something always happens, and it's beginning to happen now. We see it. It's a difference there. It was great. Like I said, it was great when they started out 4 and then they lost to the Eagles, and then they went through their stage of, oh, y'all be the backup quarterback, and you can't talk that we be the backup quarterback to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles won a Super Bowl with the backup quarterback. Yeah, Chuck, that was a very, very good game. Arguably the best game and yesterday, period. Even with the other overtime game, that one, Vikings-Bills, was arguably the best game of the entire Sunday yesterday. Absolutely. They go into that. Yeah, like I said, you can't talk that talk to the Philadelphia Eagles fans because the Eagles won a Super Bowl with the backup quarterback. And then on the flip side, you also look, and when you had that backup quarterback for that stretch where he was winning, it was all cool, it was all fine and well. But you ran into the Eagles, you lose, and then it's, oh, well, y'all beat. And it's always some type of excuse when it comes to a loss to the Eagles, or when the Eagles are doing better than what the Cowboys are doing. They always find some type of excuse to bring to the party. But they got some stuff they need to figure out. They got some soul searching they need to do. I don't know how long McCarthy's going to last. I don't think he's a very good coach. I don't know. But they've got some things to figure out there. So hopefully they can possibly get to some stuff and figure some things out. And it's on them. Whatever. It's not my problem. Getting to... Let's see, what other game did I want to talk a little bit about? I don't know. Like, it's... Yesterday's games weren't really, really exciting. Like I say, except for the Vikings and the Bills. And then as an Eagles fan, it's always some excitement when the Cowboys lose. So, that's that. A lot of people have been talking about the not Minnesota Vikings, well, the Vikings and the Miami Dolphins. The Eagles already have beaten the Vikings. They don't play the Dolphins. There's a lot of talk about the remaining schedule of the Eagles. And then there was a post that I posted about who the Eagles played. And then they had some people who say, well, a 500 team is not a good team, and they didn't play anybody, and yada, yada, yada. I mean, the bottom line is, you can call it what you want. There's always going to be some hate, it appears, for Philadelphia teams, the Sixers, the Eagles, whoever. But the bottom line is the Eagles don't sit down as an Eagles organization and say, oh, we want to play this team because we're pretty sure we can beat them. Then we'll play these couple of teams here because we know we can beat them. Doesn't work like that. The Philadelphia Eagles played so far the schedule that was set out before them. They're playing the hand that they were dealt. Is it their fault that they have a GM that really did some really good things this year? That they have a young quarterback who put in the work to improve himself to help his team improve? Is it their fault that the coach understood what was going on with what he had and made some internal adjustments to help the team improve? Is it their fault that the guys that are on the field are producing the way that they're producing? I mean, hell, it's their job. That's what those guys are supposed to do. Let's see, real quick. Richard says, the Vikings and the Bills was a great game. The Cowboys showed yesterday who they are. An up and down team, they have an excuse all the time. Eagles are playing the teams in front of them, and also GM, who has New Orleans picked this coming year and draft. And listen, you right on point, Rich. And yeah, exactly. The Eagles are doing like what they're supposed to do, and like I've been saying, they're doing and showing you that they are beginning to be one of those really good teams. And we all know what everybody says about really good teams. Really good teams do what they're supposed to do. They handle the teams that they're supposed to handle. And then in certain moments when they need to, they find ways to win games. 8-0. This is what the Eagles have been doing all along so far. It is not their fault that the schedule that was made for them, their opponents are not as good as people expected or people feel. It's the schedule that's made, and that's the games that they have to play. You can look at it in every sport. The games are set up, and you can easily go through like we always do when we do the fantasy football, when we do our picks. You can look at these games and say, oh, I like this team to win. This is like we always do. But all in all, those games still have to be played. Sometimes the outcome is the way you went. Sometimes the outcome is not. It happens. It's this law of sports, the law of the averages. When you play a team against a team, there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. See, how we traded for Robert Quinn from the Bears for a 4th-round draft pick, and the Bears are paying 85% of his salary, and he's 18 sacks last year. Absolutely. So the Eagles are building for a run. They're doing what they are supposed to do now, and look at where they are. They're in a great position right now. And one of the things I love about this particular team is there's not the overbearing cockiness. It's more swing to the confidence side when they still want this. Jason Kelsey still going through with the underdogs, and I like that because that fuels them. So whatever you need to do to fuel your team to keep this camaraderie, keep this locker room the way it is, and keep this thing rolling, you, my friend, sir, you continue to do whatever it is you're doing. And it's great to see because they're going one step at a time, one game at a time. I think they did kind of look past a team earlier, and it kind of started to bite them. They woke up in the second half of that game, and I think it was the Texans game. Yeah, they woke up in the second half, and then they've been better ever since. Chuck, my guy, says, I'm not an Eagles fan, but I'm an Oklahoma Sooner for life, and y'all got my QB, so I'm actually happy for the Eagles' success. Thank you, Chuck. We appreciate that. And OU, absolutely. Good squad there. So, they're showing you that they've come together. It's a family. It's a unit. And like I said, some people have sacrificed some things to aid to assist in making this team better, which they have done. And there's still a lot of room left because, like my friend Richard Drummond brought up, yeah, Mighty, I got you. I'm going to talk to you one day this week. I'm going to give you a call, probably, let's say, tomorrow or Wednesday. Thursday at the latest. But I definitely do remember that, Mighty, and I got you. But we'll definitely talk. All right, so appreciate you chiming in and reminding me. But I got you, bro. I got you. Train of thought for a second. Like you said, they're building what they're doing for a run, and it's not just for a run for this year. Like the goal this year is to win the title. Of course, the goal every year is to win the title, absolutely. But they're building so that they can sustain this run for possibly a couple years. Richard says everyone was saying, let's see what Hurts does in the offseason, and he put in a tremendous amount of work, improved his mechanics and footwork. He is putting points on the board and not having turnovers. They lead in percentage ratio by a wide margin. Yes. And he's doing the things when you look at Jalen Hurts, and he's showing you the work that he put in. He's letting his work that he put in the offseason show on the field, where you can see now that he's reading defenses better. You can see he is making better reads with the RPOs. He is taking command of the offense on the field. He's running the offense like he knows the book like the back of his hand, like it's nothing to him. He's running the offense smooth, and the guys are with him, and he's utilizing all of his weapons, all of them. And then you look at the side of the defense. Like I said, that secondary, those two corners are playing bazonkers. They're playing out of their freaking minds right now. And then the steal in the trade that you got from New Orleans and CJ leads the NFC, if not the league, in interceptions. Hell of a pickup. It's only going to make Marcus Epps better. I still say he's the one that's the little question mark, but it's being covered up, and he's playing better because of what's around him, so it makes his job that much easier. The trade pickup of Robert Quinn, and you don't have to pay the majority of his salary. Business move. Boss business move. Hassan Reddick showing his worth. Kaiser White showing his worth. And the crazy thing about the Kaiser White signing and the draft is you draft a stud in the Kobe Dean, and people think that he might somewhere in the season be able to step in. He can't get in because of the way Kaiser White is playing. But that's a good problem to have, because now you got the guy that you thought was going to be your stud playing behind a guy who's playing like a stud, who can only soak up some stuff and get better and be better for you when he does get the moment to shine. I got two here. Chucks, the only problem I see with the Eagles so far this season is second half scoring. Yes, I can agree with that. They've gotten out to those big leads in the first half and get kind of relaxed in the second half. Yes, I can see that. They definitely need to improve there. Richard says Bradbury and Slay are 1 and 2 in yards against Slay, 3.1 yards against 3.4 against yards against Bradbury. White, 127 tackles, last Chargers, made a big mistake letting him go. Made no sense. Absolutely. So, folks, that is the first half of the comeback, the return episode of the SportsRap podcast. And real quick, before I take this first break, as you know, we always got something for you. We always got some tickets, some concerts, whatever. Well, Eric Benet will be here, City Winery, 11/29, November 29th. You can go to the box office and get your tickets if you really want to get in. Or you can do what you're doing now. You can stay tuned and listen in and follow and see what comes up and see how you can win some tickets right here on Heat 100 Radio. It's your boy, SportsRap D. Taking a minute. I will get back with you folks and see you on the other side in just a second. So stay tuned, folks. Enjoy some old school hip hop, and we'll be right back. SportsRap D, right back. Also, you know where, Facebook Live, SportsRap Podcast LLC is the group page. So get right back in. Rich, come on back. Chuck, come on back. Lowell Rich, cousin Tawanda Bowman, James Murphy. Anybody that's in tune that wants to come back on, come back on. And I know some people, Ivan Robinson, some other people that tuned in. I know some people tuned in and just probably haven't acknowledged and let me know that you are tuned in. But I see the hearts. I see, the thumbs up and all that stuff. I just want to acknowledge everybody that's tuned in like I always do, when I get to that portion when I see you. Like I said, I read your comments, and I acknowledge everybody. Shout out to the boss lady as well. I know she's tuned in. Me and her just talked. She welcomed me back. They held it down while I was away. So what's good, Ivan? Thanks for tuning back in, letting me know you are here. And always, like I said, always shout out to the boss lady. She's always tuned in. And she's still learning some stuff, so I like to keep her updated and things of that nature. But, it is what it is, and, it's all family here, so we do what we do. So, like I said in the opening, I was away for 2 weeks, but I was very much paying attention to the story. The story occurred actually right before I was away. And we all know what that situation is. Kyrie Irving. The tweet that got him in some trouble when he made reference to a movie on Amazon that apparently has some Reggie Brass, thanks for tuning in, good brother, that apparently has some or a lot of, quite a few of anti-Semitic undertones, overtones, issues, statements, comments, stereotypes, whatever, however the list may be. More importantly is the fact of the anti-Semitism. So, when it all began, and folks, now that I'm getting an actual chance to talk to you guys about it, you can hear my voice instead of just seeing what I was posting when I typed. Thanks for coming back, Rich. You can see my face and you can hear my voice, and I'll get to know how I felt and where my direction is in the entire situation. So again, the first I got wind of it, one of the initial things that I mentioned was the fact that I totally understood that it was his Twitter, his personal social media account. Totally get that. No issues with that. And deep down inside, reality, personally, I don't have that much of an issue with what he tweeted. Also, where my thought process went initially was where and when he verbally made comments about the situation. If you want, you can backtrack. I'm not going to go that far and backtrack, but if you know the story, you know the timeline, you know what I meant when I said that. For me, again, where and when he verbalized his thought process, his opinion, and all that. For me, as you know, like I've said on other instances with other athletes and other people at that level, you know where I'm going with this and you know what I say. At that level, you have to, professional athlete, actor, whoever, someone that's a star or considered a star in some type of entertainment business, in that, what we all like to say, in that limelight, you have to be very, very cautious and sometimes precise in what you say, where you say it, and how you say it. If you do it in what's considered or what could be considered in mainstream media as the wrong way, it will be blown out of proportion in one way or another, in a good way or a bad way, but definitely it will be blown out of proportion. So, it's Kyrie Irving situation. First, he got the suspension. The initial suspension was 5 games without pay. I don't like the suspension. I didn't like the suspension. I think it was based on one of the things that I like to say a lot on this show. The Nets felt like they were put into a situation and they needed to respond or do something regarding that situation, and that was the move that they made. The reason there was a suspension because of the situation, and what I mean the situation is, and I'm going back to that word, the anti-Semitism, and it's a tough pill to swallow, a tough mirror to look into, because the world now is like overly super sensitive about those types of situations. Reggie Brash, he says, we all have to be careful HR comes after the workers first. Absolutely, absolutely, Reg. You definitely right with that. And I didn't mean it was not by purpose that I wanted to leave everybody out. And I understand where you're going with that. Yes, we all have to be careful, exactly. But I just mean in this type of situation where it's gonna break into the main media, like with us, Reg, and I get what you're saying. It may leak. But this is going to be something that's going to be talked about, and it's going to force people's hands like it has done. And again, like I said, the situation, I believe, forced the Nets' hand in making the suspension. Then shortly after, there was a ridiculous, excuse my language, Mo, dumbass list of alleged stipulations for him to return to the team. I'll read them for you in just a second. But again, it was my favorite word, ridiculous, these stipulations. And then the suspension now is in the indefinite stage. And we all know what it means when they use that word indefinite. It means there's no timetable to if or when he will return to the team. There's no timetable, which I don't think he deserves. Like I said, I don't agree with the 5-game suspension, but in the entire situation, the way I do my research and the way I want to bring it to you with my own thoughts and process, I understood what happened. I'm not saying I'm agree with the moving parts, but in that grand scheme, I understood why that came about. Richard says the NBA are frauds. He put a link on his Twitter account with no comment on it. Absolutely. NBA is now making him jump through 95 loops to get back on the court. The suspension is a joke, and definitely way to use that word. I hope he did well with this money because I wouldn't do any of the NBA demand. Absolutely. I wouldn't do it either. And again, like I said, he put out a link to the tweet, to a movie, and like I said, in my opinion, when he verbalized, and he was probably asked a question about it, but when he verbalized it, that's what kind of made things go the way that they are. And again, the Nets did what they did because they're going to save face. They're not going to have it put on them. And like I said, I feel like they felt like they were pushed up against a wall and had to do something. So the only thing they could do to make it easy on themselves was say, "Oh, we'll suspend them for 5 games." Then, like I said, the stipulations initially: apologize and condemn the movie, which he is not going to do the second half. He did eventually apologize, but he's not going to condemn the movie. $500,000 donation to anti-hate causes, sensitivity training, anti-Semitic training, meet with the Anti-Defamation League and Jewish leaders. Also meet with Joe Tsai to demonstrate understanding. Met with the Commissioner Adam Silver. And in his meeting with Adam Silver, in his meeting with Joe Tsai, if you paid attention, leaked out that after both of those meetings, both of these gentlemen say, "Oh, we don't think Kyrie Irving is anti-Semitic." So, if you can fix your mouth and say that bull crap, why is this man suspended indefinitely? Again, I always say, sometimes when I get wind of these situations, when I see these situations, Chauncey, thanks for tuning in. I say to myself, and I say to the people that initially asked me questions about it because I do what I do here, and I say to them, some of these professionals need to have better people around them. And some of them need to alleviate some of the yes men that are around them where some of them need to have people that they consider their crew, for lack of a better word, family, whatever, their guys. You need to have a guy or two in that group that you're okay with, and that is also, that particular person is okay with saying to you, if it were me, like, yo, D, listen, I hear you, I understand you, I'm going to ride with you, but you really shouldn't post that right now. Or say, you shouldn't say that way at that press conference. If you want to say something about it, you need to really think about how you're going to say it. And then you also have the point where some of those people have publicists, and those publicists need to create the cojones and say, yo, I got what you're saying, but we're not going to say it that way. I'm going to get something, we're going to say it this way. And you could arguably, so people can sit here and debate and say, oh, so you just want to conform. No, it's, you can argue that. I don't consider it conforming. I consider that being smart to alleviate these type of insane situations that you could put yourself in. Richard says, well, if you don't think he is, why is the indefinite suspension still going on? Give him the 5 games and be done with it. Absolutely, Rich, that's what I say. If you don't think he's anti-Semitic, then there should not be an indefinite tag on this suspension. It shouldn't be. And again, but like I just recently said, a lot more times than not, you have these publicists and you have these guys that are around people or these particular athletes or whoever, and they'll say, oh, well, I want to do A, B, and C. Yeah, that's right. Do that. We got your back. The publicists sometimes scared to say, just be simple about it and be smart about it. Say, yo, no, listen, I get it. I totally understand. I get you. But you can't say it that way. Like, you can't say it that way. We'll come together and we'll say it, but you can't say it that way. Because if you say it that way, you're going to get some heat. And it's going to be some possibly unwanted heat, which is the strong case. And then it's going to be some possible idiotic heat like this. If all of these people that wanted to meet with him, wanted to talk to him, and then after these meetings, like I said, and like Richard just also said, and I just read the comment, you come to the conclusion after these meetings, you decide that, oh, he doesn't come off as anti-Semitic, then you should remove the indefinite. Richard says, someone should have prepped him on the questions that might have been asked. No one in the Nets organization could have helped out before the press conference. Yeah, Rich, and I totally get that. Right. You know, I totally get that. But again, like you said, somebody could have prepped him. So somebody in his camp could have said, yo, dude, like, remember, the tweet you just put out, right? You know, just be careful because somebody may, there's a tweet, somebody may throw that out there to see where you at, test the waters or whatever. So just be mindful of that, which is absolutely, I agree with that. I totally agree. And again, Rich, the other part, the last part that you said, they can't really prepare you for the press conference because I've sat in on press conferences like that. You never know what's going to come out of a media member's mouth as a question. You never know where they're going to go with situations. Okay, and bring those, and it's always one or two that always likes to bring a non-sport situation into the play or into the picture because they're on that stage. He is one of your stars. He isn't the 8th guy off the bench. He is your main guy. Yeah, absolutely. Richard Drummond again making a reference to Kyrie Irving. So again, I just feel like it could have been handled a little bit differently. Like I said, we saw the situation with Kanye West, and then like I read in the news and the updates, Nike has finally made a statement and said that they are severing ties with Mr. Irving, which I think was a bit of a move of haste. I think it was also a bit of a move that got some people in a little tizzy. You had some people I saw on social media with talking about banning Nike. I get it. I understand where you're going with that and that thought process. But bottom line, that particular company has the absolute right to remove themselves from a situation that they feel or deem that could not be beneficial to them. It's their right. And I'm not sitting here saying I condone it, but I understand it. It's their right. Where you see the backlash and the heat that he's catching, if they want to disassociate themselves with that, then again, that's as a business, as a company, that is their absolute right. So with all the feelings involved and people saying, oh, we going to ban Nike. Like I saw a woman burning shoes. You can burn those. They still going to make more shoes. The NBA is full of stars. They are in the business of making money. If there's anything that's going to cause a glitch in them making money, they're going to do what they need to do to alleviate that so they can continue to make money. Richard says Nike has its own issues. They have no problem with children working in their factories in Asia, and Nike are frauds too. Yeah, you can go there, you know. But again, like I said, I'm not condoning. You know, I don't feel like they should have cut ties with him because, in my opinion, he really didn't do anything wrong. I just think the timing was a little off. Okay, but again, like Richard said, business side, they should be talking about their back stages of their businesses, which they don't. But on this particular situation, on the surface, as a business, their job is to make money. This is what they're in business for. And again, if anything can hinder or put a glitch in them making money, they will stop it. If you don't believe me, take a peek when you get a chance and go watch the show Billions on HBO. Great show, great series. But you'll understand a little bit better how people who want to make money, that have started to make money and continually made money, and then when things come in and it's like, oh, we going to take a hit. I don't want to take that kind of hit. And we're going to have to get rid of that so that hit don't come at all. And it happens. It's just business. So that's where I am with that. So again, like I said, people can protest and call Nike whatever. They still supply uniforms to one of the biggest conglomerates in the world, sports. Yeah, Chauncey, love Billions and learned a lot watching them. Absolutely. It will definitely teach you a lot. So yeah, people, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. Just binge watch. I think we're on season 6 right now. But check it out, and you'll understand a little bit better what I mean when I say about Nike. And again, like I said, I'm not saying I agree with them really, severing ties with Kyrie Irving, because he made them some money with his shoes. Hell, I got a couple pair of Kyrie shoes, and I like a lot of those shoes. Okay? I mean, I'm looking into buying me another pair of some older ones that I like, just in different colorways. But nonetheless, as a business, they have that right. Business-wise is all I'm talking about. Business-wise, so you understand the situation, folks. The business-wise is the reason that they did what they did. And in all of that, some things I found in this. One of the things, like Richard had mentioned, the NBA is a fraud. Initially they say that he declined to apologize. Charles Barkley says the NBA dropped the ball. In recent years, the NBA has made social justice a big part of his brand. Absolutely. He posted social media to his followers, yada yada yada, a link to the movie. We all know all of that, what happened. The NFL, not the NFL, the NBA and the NBA Players and the NBA Players Association are aware of the situation. The president, C.J. McCollum, has says that he is aware, and he understands that he's looking at Kyrie made a mistake, which I agree. He kind of pretty much made a mistake. It was not a good mistake. It was a very bad mistake, but he made a mistake nonetheless. Okay. CJ also goes on to say, and I quote, "I think myself it's important for me to continue to gather more information, but it is also important for me to allow the situation to continue to unfold." I can get behind that. I agree with that. Garrett Temple, another member who stated the Players Association condemns any anti-Semitism or discrimination of any kind, and that Kyrie had a proper apology in his opinion, unquote, from Garrett Temple. He said he's been accountable for his actions. Temple also said, and he says, and I quote, "We're going to make sure everybody knows we don't stand for any hate speech at all, no matter which way it goes." Okay. Also, the NBA PA believes that the task assigned to Irving in order to return to play are too stringent, and the NBA PA is expected to appeal since there is no guideline that addresses social media posts in the league's current collective bargaining agreement. Richard says, "Where's the Players Association at? They should be going after the NBA for the indefinite." Yeah, Rich, this is what I'm getting to right now. They said they're going to file an appeal because there's no guideline that addresses social media posts in their CBA. So, Rich, yes, great question, and I am right there with you. They are apparently on it. I guess as we speak to them, you could kind of sort of say. Jaylen Brown, the president, says he doesn't believe that Kyrie Irving is anti-Semitic. He also says, and I quote, "I don't think people in our governing bodies think he's anti-Semitic. He made a mistake." He says we don't want to stand up for somebody in order to not condemn hate speech, but I don't believe Kyrie is anti-Semitic. There is an interesting distinction between, and this is another quote from Jaylen Brown. Let me see, and I quote, "There is an interesting distinction between what somebody says verbally and what somebody posts as a link on a platform with no description behind it." Key word there. Interesting distinction between what somebody says verbally, what somebody posts as a link on a platform with no description behind it. So he didn't post any comment. He just posted the link. Remember that. He goes on to say, and I continue to quote, "Some people will argue there's no difference, and some people will argue there is a difference. There's no language in the CBA. There's no rules against it. It is uncharted territory for everybody, and everybody is trying to figure out the difference between the two." While they do that, this young man's future is up in limbo, and it's a shame because it shouldn't be that way. Like Richard said a little while ago, if this is the way you feel, that you don't see any anti-Semitism in him, you don't get that feeling or that vibe from him, okay, you had to do something. Like I said, it felt like that way to you. You gave him the 5-game suspension, yada, 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 5-game suspension, move on, bring him back, let him play. Again, then we have LeBron, who everyone appears to kind of look up to now. And these are some of the things that LeBron has said about the situation. Richard says, "No description is exactly the key words. The link is for you to view or not and make your own conclusions." Abso-freaking-lutely. So getting into some things that LeBron says, and I'm going to probably say quote or unquote or end quote a lot. And again, I quote starting out, he says, "Me personally, I don't condone any hate of any kind. To any race, to Jewish communities, to black communities, to Asian communities. You guys know where I stand," end quote. He goes on to say, and I quote, "There's no place in this world for hate speech of any kind. Nobody can benefit from Irving's harmful behavior." So, LeBron, you played with this young man. So, someone help me figure out what was the harmful behavior. He posted a link, and like Richard just said, and I just read that comment, no description behind the link, just a link where you could take the link and do with it what you want. You can watch the movie, you can not watch the movie. If you watched it, you can form your own opinions, and then you can go on your own social media and post your own opinions. Or you could share the link if you wanted to, and everything. But all he did was share the link. So in my instance, in my question, where LeBron says, nobody can benefit from his harmful behavior, I don't understand where the harmful behavior was. I believe what Kyrie did caused some harm to a lot of people. That, in my opinion, that part right there, he believed he caused some hurt to a lot of people because those people took it that way. And I strongly believe some people took it that way without even opening the link or watching the movie to see what was said in the movie. Kyrie Irving wasn't in the movie. He didn't quote anything from the movie. He posted a link to the movie for people to look at and formulate their own conclusion. Like my guy Richard Drummond also said, formulate your own conclusion. Again, what did he do that was wrong? More quote. It doesn't matter what color your skin is, how tall you are, what position you're in. If you are promoting or soliciting or saying harmful things to any community that harms people, then I don't respect it. I don't condone it. He personally did not do it. He posted a link to a movie. James also said of Kyrie, he thinks he's a great man from a great family, but he hopes the Brooklyn Star understands what he did. Folks, the movie is called Hebrews to Negroes, Wake Up Black America. It is based on the 2014 book, the same title. The link is promoted in the movie. It was built in 2018. And also, according to reviews on the movie, the film is based on the book, like I said, the 2014 book by Ronald Dalton. And it is from Rolling Stone. According to Rolling Stone, it does include several anti-Semitic tropes and stereotypes. Get behind that. But all Kyrie did was post a link for people to, if they chose to, go and look at the movie. Go and see the movie if you chose to, if you decided to. And again, formulate your own ideas, thoughts, conclusions, perceptions, whatever. He said the film also features extreme views of black Hebrew Israelites who argue that black people are the only true descendants of ancient Israelites. He said he released a statement on Friday morning, that was addressed to all Jewish families and communities that were hurt by the situation. And he says, and I quote, I initially reacted out of emotion to being unjustly labeled anti-Semitic. Instead of focusing on the healing process of my Jewish brothers and sisters that were hurt from the hateful remarks made in the documentary. End quote. He also goes further and says, I want to clarify any confusion on where I stand fighting against anti-Semitism. By apologizing for posting the documentary without context and a factual explanation outlining the specific benefits in the documentary I agreed with and disagreed with. I had no intentions to disrespect any Jewish cultural history regarding the Holocaust or perpetuate any hate. I am learning from this unfortunate event and hope we can find an understanding between us all. End quote. Again, then the last part, it says, goes into suspension and things of that nature. So again, like we said, it's like because he's Kyrie Irving and because he posted it, he automatically is taken as he agrees with it, which apparently, is not the case. Like I said, he's talked to Josiah, he's talked to Adam Silver, and they both have stated that they don't feel that he's anti-Semitic. So again, we say, why is the suspension 5 games? Bottom line, like I said, where I felt went wrong in the situation is the time, place, and how it was actually delivered because of who he is. And it's unfortunate that I continue to say because of who he is, but that is part of the situation. It's part of the equation. It just is, like I said, because of who he is. So it's going to be taken in a deeper, arguably misconstrued context, which I think is the situation here. The context of him posting that link was misconstrued, where people took to the movie and felt like just because he posted it, those were his sentiments and those were his feelings as well, which apparently in reality were not the case. He just shared some information, and people took, like Richard said, people formulated their own conclusions and pushed it back on him and made him seem like the bad guy. But hopefully something can come about and this young man can get back onto his career, because like we said, right now his career is in limbo, and it is what it is. Well, not it is what it is, but it's a very sad situation. And again, the indefinite should not be tagged on to this situation here. So we got our picks, or my picks for week 11, starting this Thursday, November 17th. Tennessee at Green Bay. I'm going to go with the Titans in Lambeau. Although the Packers did win yesterday, I'm still going to go with the Titans in that. Let me move this over so you continue to see me. I see it's a little dark shade there. So whatever is going on, I'm going to try and fix that. But I'll just stay here. Chicago at Atlanta. I like Chicago on the road. I like Buffalo over Cleveland. Philly over Indy. I'm going to pick this one here, and I'm going to stretch the upset. I'm going to go with the Jets over the Patriots. I'm going to go with another upset here. I'm going to go with the Saints over the Rams. The Giants over the Lions. The Ravens over the Panthers. The Texans over the Commanders. Broncos over the Raiders. Minnesota over Dallas. KC over the Chiefs over the Chargers. Next Sunday night, I'm going to go Cincy over Pittsburgh. And next Monday, I'm going to go San Fran over Arizona. Tonight, closing out Week 10, Monday Night Football, down at the Link. Washington Commanders are in town. They go up against our undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. I like the Eagles in that game. I think the Eagles are like 11-point favorites tonight. In the NHL tonight, Islanders and the Senators, the Hurricanes and the Blackhawks, the Kings and the Flames, the Blues and the Avalanche. In the NBA tonight, the Raptors face off against the Pistons, the Hornets and the Magic, the Thunder and the Celtics, Suns and the Heat, Clippers, Rockets, Hawks, Bucks, Spurs, Warriors. Folks, that concludes another installment of the SportsRap podcast right here on Heat 100 Radio. I'm here each and every Monday. I am back. Like I said, I took my 2 weeks, got myself together, reflected, sat back a minute, And like I mentioned, I posted it once, but I'm going to announce it again here. Starting December, what we're going to do is we started it once, but we got away from it. We're going to get back to it. Some things that I thought about that I thought were good for the show that we'll get back to. So one of the things, what I want to do is I'm going to have a fan appreciation Monday, where the entire show will be what you guys give me. Thanks, Rich. Always great input from you as well, where you guys give me topics, leave some questions for me, or even come on live and ask questions, and that will be the show. It will be all about you. Whatever topics you bring, we'll discuss. Whatever questions you bring, we will answer and acknowledge who gave us the questions and all of that jazz and yada, 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 stuff like that. With that football schedule like we've been doing, again, you know what we do. You do it. We got half a season left. Let's go out with a bang, people. The schedule goes up, as you know, on Tuesdays. All right? You can get your picks in. Get your picks in by Thursday, 4 p.m., because there's a Thursday game. All right. When you get your picks in, however you do it, you write them in a list or whatever, a screenshot, underline, whatever you do it, go in order of the schedule. You could win a prize. I mean, it could be something that's a little gift card for lunch or something like that, but it could be a win prize. All right, something that you can get in tune, a little bit more in tune with the show instead of just listening and winning stuff. You can win stuff because we always got stuff to give away. And of course, like I always say, everybody loves free. Nonetheless, again, April, I don't know why I'm thinking April 11, 29, City Winery, Eric Benet. I'll talk to you during the week about how I'm going to give away 2 tickets for that real soon. And then also you can get to the box office and get your tickets as well. But you can also, like we say, tune in here and try and win you a pair. Also at the City Winery, 1126 Mickey Howard, a new album release party. So get there and check that out. Folks, you know where to find me. Each and every Monday right here in this seat where I'm sitting looking at you all, talking to you all, 11 a.m. All week on social media at SportsRap_D on Instagram and Twitter. The group page, SportsRap Podcast LLC on Facebook. Webpage, sportsrapradio.com. The audio will go up probably Wednesday. You can get it on iHeart, Spreaker, Apple, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast. Every other Thursday, not this Thursday, but next Thursday, you can catch me at the Drake Tavern on site doing some stuff there. You can catch me out and about. Before I forget, I was out yesterday. Alumni League championship game and all-star game with a bang. Shout out to the William Penn Lions, undefeated season and winning the Alumni League championship. Going to get them up here, not that team, but we're going to get some representatives from the Alumni League up here in studio to talk to us about that league. If you haven't checked it out, get over to their page and check it out. Just like I said, the Alumni League. If not, you can get to my page and get all that information. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff coming up for the show. A lot of stuff changes. A lot of stuff added in. And we definitely appreciate this continued support. See you all next week right back here in studio. Peace.